The air smelled like oil, sweat, and sadness. Inside the giant alien auction house, hundreds of people sat in rows, waiting for the next item to be dragged onto the platform. Some were rich traders, some were warriors, and some were just there for entertainment. Jack Rayner stood near the back, arms crossed. He was a human, a war veteran from Earth. He didn't like being here, but he needed parts for his ship. The market outside didn't have what he wanted. Someone told him, sometimes you find rare things in the auction house. But Jack didn't expect this. The announcer on stage was a fat, loud alien with 4 eyes and a metal voice box. He laughed as he grabbed a chain and yanked something forward. The crowd went quiet for a second, then exploded into laughter. A girl stumbled onto the stage, barely able to stand. Her skin was pale blue, her clothes torn and dirty. Her arms were thin, and her legs shook like she hadn't eaten in days. A metal collar was locked tight around her neck. Her head stayed down. She didn't speak. She didn't cry. She just stood there like she was already dead inside. The announcer shouted, "This one's cheap." A personal slave. Once used for noble pleasure, now thrown away. Obeys anything, but she's broken. You want something to kick around or train from scratch? Here's your chance. Starting at 10 credits. The crowd laughed again. Someone threw a piece of fruit at her. It hit her shoulder and rolled off. She didn't move. Jack's jaw tightened. "Please, just end me." The words were soft, weak, but Jack heard them. He looked around. No one else reacted. No one cared. He stepped closer to the stage, pushing through the crowd. "Come on, someone take her already," the announcer said. "She's a waste of space." Jack raised his hand. "I'll take her." Everything stopped. Heads turned. The announcer blinked. "You human? You want this one?" Jack nodded. 10 credits. Whispers filled the room. One alien snorted. "Stupid human, what's he gonna do? Pet her?" Another shouted, "Make sure she doesn't bite." The announcer laughed, but nodded. "Sold. 10 credits, no returns." Jack stepped up to collect her. A guard unlocked the chain from the floor. The girl didn't look up. "Can you walk?" Jack asked gently. She flinched at his voice, but gave a small nod. Jack didn't grab her. He just walked beside her as they left the auction house. Outside, the sky was dark. The stars above looked like tiny holes in a black curtain. Jack took her to his ship. It wasn't big, but it was clean. As the door closed behind them, the girl dropped to her knees. "Punish me if you must," she said. "Just do it quickly." Jack stared at her, confused. "Why would I punish you?" She looked up, shocked. Her eyes were a glowing silver color, but they were tired. "Broken. You bought me. Isn't that what you're supposed to do?" Jack shook his head slowly. "I didn't buy you to use you. I bought you to get you out of there." She didn't understand. Then, "What do you want from me?" "Nothing," Jack said. He walked to a cabinet and pulled out a blanket. "You're free now." She looked at the blanket like it was a weapon. She didn't move. Jack crouched down, handed it to her gently. "What's your name?" She hesitated. "I don't remember." Jack thought for a moment. Then he smiled softly. "Then I'll give you a new one. How about Lissa?" She repeated it quietly. "Lissa." "Yes," Jack nodded. "You're Lissa now, and no one will hurt you again." That night, Jack gave her a small room to sleep in, a soft bed, clean water, fresh food, but Lissa didn't sleep. She sat on the bed for hours, holding the blanket, staring at the door like she expected pain to come in. Later, when Jack went to his own room, he heard a noise. He opened the door and found Lissa standing barefoot in the hallway, her hands shaking. I don't know how to be free," she whispered. "I don't know what to do now." Jack stepped aside, offering her a warm smile. "You don't need to know everything now," he said. Just rest. Tomorrow we start new. Lissa stared at him with wide eyes. For the first time in her life, someone wasn't asking anything from her. No orders, no commands. No pain, only kindness. Thought she was gone. Jack ran through the corridors of his ship, heart racing. Her room was empty. The blanket folded, the food untouched. The only thing left was the collar placed neatly on the floor, as if it were some kind of message. He rushed to the door. It hadn't been forced open. She left. On her own, Lissa. He whispered, worry tightening his chest. Outside, the station was still busy. People shouted, ships roared overhead, and no one noticed the barefoot alien girl walking slowly between shadows. 1 hour earlier, Lissa stood in the hallway, watching the stars through the window. They were beautiful, far away, and silent. Just like her, Jack was asleep in the next room. His soft breathing echoed through the walls. He had treated her like a person. Fed her, spoke kindly. Gave her a name, but she couldn't believe it. She whispered to herself, slaves don't get names. Slaves don't get blankets. Slaves don't get freedom. Maybe this was a trick. A game. A test. She had seen it before. Fake kindness. Then cruel punishment. Better to run now before it hurt more. So she left. Lissa wandered through the marketplace, hiding her face, hugging herself tightly. People stared, but no one stopped her. She passed loud bars, metal stalls, and strange smells. The noise was too much. Her body felt weak. Her feet burned from the cold floor. Then she heard laughter. 2 alien guards stood outside a gambling hall. One of them recognized her. Well, look who escaped the trash pile, one said with a cruel smile. She tried to run. They grabbed her. Arms roughly. Back to the cage with you. She didn't scream. She never screamed. What was the point? Jack followed her trail to the market and spotted the scene. Lissa on the ground. 2 guards holding her down. He didn't think. He charged. Let her go, he shouted. The guards laughed. This is slave business, human. Walk away. Jack pulled out a shock baton from his belt and struck one in the side. The guard dropped fast. The other reached for his weapon, but Jack grabbed his arm, twisted it, and shoved him down. He pulled Lissa up, holding her gently. It's okay. I'm here. She didn't move at first. Her eyes were wide, her lips shaking. You came after me? Jack looked her straight in the eyes. Of course I did. Back on the ship, she sat quietly with a warm drink in her hands. Her fingers still trembled. Jack sat across from her. I thought maybe you didn't want me here, she said quietly. Maybe I was just a mistake. You were never a mistake, Jack said. And you don't belong to anyone now. Lissa stared down. Then what am I? What do I do now? He smiled gently. You live, you learn, you grow. She blinked. But I don't even know who I am. That's okay, Jack said. We'll find out together. Later that night, Jack handed her a small box. She opened it slowly and found a bracelet inside. It was simple, silver, and clean, not fancy, but beautiful in its own way. What is this? She asked. It's not a collar, he said. It's a gift. She touched it carefully. No one ever gave me something without wanting something in return. Not them, Jack said softly. You're not a thing. You're not an object. You're Lissa, and you deserve nice things. She looked at the bracelet again and slipped it on. For the first time, she felt something strange. Hope. The next day, they visited a supply shop at a small port. Jack needed fuel cells. Lissa walked beside him, still quiet, but more steady, inside. A bulky alien merchant narrowed his eyes at her. Didn't know humans kept slaves now, he grunted. She's marked. You sure you want to be seen with her? Jack stepped forward. Angry. She's not a slave, the merchant smirked. Then what is she? Jack didn't hesitate. She's with me. By choice. And if you speak about her like that again, I'll break your mouth. Silence. Even Lissa froze. He wasn't just protecting her, he believed in her. That night, she stood near the window again. Only this time, she wasn't planning to run. She was watching the stars with a small smile. She touched the bracelet on her wrist. Not a collar, not a chain, a beginning. She broke a plate and fell to her knees like it was the end of the world. I'm sorry. Please don't punish me. Lissa cried, her hands over her head, her body shaking. Jack froze, still holding the cup in his hand. The ceramic plate had slipped from her hands and shattered on the floor during breakfast. Nothing more, just an accident. But to Lissa, it was fear. It was danger. It was all she had ever known. Jack knelt down beside her. Lissa, look at me. She couldn't. Her body was trembling like a leaf in the wind. He placed his hand gently on her shoulder. It's okay, he said softly. It's just a plate. That was the moment Jack truly understood how deep her pain was. She wasn't just scared, she was trained to expect pain, for even the smallest mistake. That day, he didn't speak much. He cleaned the mess himself, gave her space. But in his heart, he made a promise. He would help her breathe again without fear. Over the next few days, Jack made small changes to help her feel safe. He let her choose what clothes to wear. He cooked simple meals and asked if she wanted to try new things. He even made a small garden inside the ship with fake sunlight, just so she could touch something green. One morning, she found a small notebook on her bed, a pen beside it. Nothing else. She opened it and saw only one line written on the first page. This is your story. Write anything you want. At first, she didn't know what to do. But slowly, every night, she began writing small things. Today, I ate without shaking. Today, he smiled when I spoke. Today, I smiled back. Jack didn't read her journal, but he noticed the change in her eyes, the way she stood a little taller, spoke a little louder, slept a little deeper. One evening, she found a small music box in the storage bay. When she turned the key, soft notes filled the air. She laughed. It was a light, breathy sound, barely a whisper, but real. Jack heard it from the hallway and smiled. Later that week, they visited a space station to refuel. It was busy, full of alien species moving in all directions. Lissa walked beside Jack, nervous but steady. At a shop, a young alien girl bumped into her and dropped her toy. Lissa picked it up and gave it back. The girl smiled. Thank you. Lissa blinked. You're welcome. A small moment. A big step. On the way back to the ship, Jack noticed her holding something behind her back. What do you have? He asked, raising an eyebrow. Lissa hesitated, then held it out. It was a simple flower made of colored thread and cloth. She said quietly, for the garden. Jack took it and smiled warmly. It's perfect. She looked down, hiding her face. I've never made anything before. I didn't know I could. You can do a lot more than you think, he said. That night, as the stars shimmered outside, Lissa stood by the window again. But this time, Jack joined her. Do you ever wonder what's out there? She asked softly. All the time, he said. But for now, I'm more curious about what's right here. He looked at her, not as a rescue, not as a responsibility, but as a person. She looked at him too. Not with fear, but with something new. Something that felt warm. Before bed, she opened her journal again. She wrote, Today, no one hurt me. Today, I felt alive. And below it, she drew something. Two hands not chained, but holding each other. The message arrived in red. It flashed across Jack's ship console, urgent and loud. Warning, legal claim filed, return property. #LX 345 immediately. Jack stared at it, silent. In the corner of the room, Lissa was watering her small garden, softly humming a tune she'd learned from the music box. She looked peaceful, calm, happy. He didn't want to break that. But the past had just found them. Hours later, Jack sat across from her at the small dining table. He hadn't told her yet. He didn't know how she looked up and tilted her head. "You're quiet today," he forced a smile. "Just tired." But she wasn't a fool anymore. Not the frightened girl from the cage. She knew something was wrong. "You're lying," she whispered. Jack sighed and pulled up the message on his pad. He handed it to her gently. She read the words slowly. Her hands began to shake. "They know I'm alive," she whispered. "They're trying to claim you again," Jack said. "They called you property." Lissa dropped the pad on the table. Her chest tightened, breath shallow. "I don't want to go back." "You're not going back," Jack said, voice firm. "I'll protect you." "But they'll come," she whispered. "They always come." That night, Lissa couldn't sleep. She sat on the floor, hugging her knees, staring at the bracelet Jack gave her. It still felt warm on her wrist. But her heart was cold. She remembered the pain, the cold cells, the voices. That called her it. Now they wanted her again. Not because they missed her, but because they owned her. Jack tried to make a plan. He checked laws, called contacts, even thought about hiding on a remote moon. But Lissa made a different plan. She packed a small bag and tried to leave alone. Jack found her at the ship's exit. "What are you doing?" he asked, shocked. "If I stay," she said, "they'll come for me. You'll get hurt." "I can't let that happen." Jack's voice cracked. "You don't have to protect me." She looked at him with watery eyes. "But I want to. You gave me everything. My name, my life. I won't let them take it all away again." Jack stepped forward and pulled her into a hug. "You don't have to face this alone. Not anymore. Just..." Then, alarms blared. Something was approaching the ship fast. Jack rushed to the console. A small bounty ship was landing nearby. "They sent hunters," Jack growled. Lissa stood beside him. "They're here for me." Jack turned to her. "Then, let's show them you're not a slave anymore." Outside, 2 armed aliens stepped onto the platform. Both wore black armor with glowing red marks, the sign of a private slave syndicate. "Return the girl." One growled, "And we won't break your bones." Jack walked out slowly, holding only a small stun baton. "She's not going anywhere." The second bounty hunter raised his blaster. "You're making this difficult." Just as he aimed, Lissa stepped in front of Jack. "Try touching me now," she said, her voice steady. The guards hesitated. "This one has spirit," one muttered, but Jack was already moving. He ducked, rolled, and slammed his baton into the first bounty hunter's leg. The shock sent him down fast. The second fired, but Lissa grabbed a loose metal pipe and struck his hand, making him miss. Jack tackled him next, and within seconds, both bounty hunters were down, alive but groaning. Lissa stared at her own hands. She was shaking again, but not from fear, from power, from the feeling of fighting back. Jack looked at her with pride. "You were amazing." She gave a shaky smile. "I was scared." "But you didn't run," he said. "That means more than you think." They tied up the hunters and contacted the station guard. The bounty ship was confiscated, and a complaint was filed. Jack knew this wasn't over, but Lissa had taken her first step toward facing her past. She wasn't hiding anymore. That night, she stood at the window again. Jack walked over and asked, softly, "If they come again, will you still run?" She shook her head. "No," she whispered. "Not if you stand with me." He nodded. "Always." And in that quiet moment, under the stars, their hands met and held tight. She didn't cry when they hit her. She didn't cry when she was sold. But now, safe, warm, and held in gentle arms, she cried for the first time. Lissa's body shook as she buried her face in Jack's chest. Tears soaked his shirt, and her voice came out in gasps. "I don't understand. Why are you still here?" Jack held her tighter. "Because you matter." She had no answer. No one had ever told her that before. After the attack, Jack's shoulder was bruised, and his hand was bandaged. Lissa made him sit on the bed while she carefully cleaned his wounds. "Hold still," she said softly, gently pressing the cloth against his skin. Jack grinned through the pain. "You're a better nurse than most bots I've met." She gave a small smile, but her eyes stayed focused. Her hands were careful, tender, but something trembled in her touch. He noticed. "You okay?" She paused, then whispered, "I hate seeing you hurt." "Because of me." Jack touched her hand. "I'd do it again. 100 times. She lowered her head. "Why? You were worth saving." Over the next few days, things changed. The fear in Lissa's eyes faded, little by little. She no longer jumped at every sound. She no longer asked for permission to speak. She still had nightmares. Some nights, she woke up sweating, gasping for breath, reaching for chains that were no longer there. But now, when she woke in fear, Jack was always there, sometimes with a glass of water, sometimes with his hand in hers, sometimes with silence, but always there. One morning, Jack gave her something new, a toolkit. "Want to learn how to fix things?" he asked. She looked unsure. "Me? I might break it." "That's how we learn," he said with a wink. "By breaking things first." She spent the day learning how to open panels, fix wiring, and clean the engines. She asked questions, got messy, and even laughed when she accidentally zapped herself with a tiny shock. Jack clapped. "Congratulations. You're officially a mechanic." Lissa looked at her hands. "Greasy, dirty, strong. I've never built anything before." She said. "You're rebuilding yourself," Jack replied. "That's the most important thing of all." That evening, they sat under the soft lights of the ship's garden. Lissa looked up at the stars. "Do you think someone like me could ever be normal?" she asked. Jack frowned gently. "What's normal?" She shrugged. "Someone who wasn't used. Someone who doesn't flinch when people touch her." Jack turned to her. "You're healing. That takes time and courage." Lissa hesitated. "Do you think I'm broken?" "No," he said. "I think you're brave." She blinked. Her lips trembled, but she didn't cry this time. She simply whispered, "Thank you." The next morning, Jack found something on his pillow. It was Lissa's journal, open to the last page. A drawing of two people standing together. And one sentence written beneath, "Maybe I'm not a slave anymore." Jack smiled, but just as he set the journal down, a soft knock came at the door. Lissa peeked in. She was holding something behind her back. "I want to give you something," she said. He raised an eyebrow. "What is it?" She stepped forward and held out a piece of cloth. It was stitched clumsily but with care, a small flag, with her name on one side and his on the other. "I made it," she said, "because this ship feels like home now, and you feel like home too." Jack stared at the flag, then back at her. No one spoke for a moment. Then he whispered, "Lissa, do you know what you mean to me?" Her eyes widened. "What?" Jack gently took her hand. "You're not just someone I rescued. You're someone I choose every day." Her heart raced. She looked down, then up again, voice trembling. "Even if I'm not perfect?" "You're more than perfect," he said. "You're real." That night, she didn't stand by the window alone. She stood with Jack, not afraid, not silent, not broken, just Lissa. Everyone in the room fell silent, except for the human, who slowly got down on one knee. Alien traders, smugglers, and station guards stopped eating. Music faded. Glasses paused mid-air. All eyes turned toward one man and one girl standing at the center of the crowded spaceport tavern. Jack Rayner held out a small silver ring. "Lissa," he said loud and clear, "will you marry me?" 15 minutes earlier, everything had felt normal. Jack and Lissa had landed on a peaceful trade station to restock supplies. They walked side by side through the open markets, laughing and sharing snacks. Lissa had started wearing simple clothes she liked, no longer hiding behind dull rags. She wore soft blue now, with a bracelet on her wrist and a smile that appeared more often than ever. Jack had been acting strange all morning, checking his pocket often, looking nervous. Lissa thought maybe he was hiding something. She had no idea. Stopped for a break in a cozy corner of a tavern. Jack ordered tea. Lissa watched two small alien children playing near the tables. She smiled, imagining what it would have been like to grow up with freedom. Suddenly, Jack stood up and tapped a spoon against his cup. Everyone looked his way. Lissa blinked. "What are you doing?" Jack turned to her. "I want everyone here to know something," he said. "This woman beside me? She's the bravest, strongest, kindest person I've ever met." Murmurs spread through the room. "That's a slave girl," someone whispered. "From the syndicate markets." "No," Jack said loudly, looking at the crowd. "She was a slave. Now she's Lissa, free, alive, and more than that." He turned back to her and slowly dropped to one knee. "She's the woman I love." Lissa gasped. Her legs felt weak, her chest heavy. She had never heard those words before. Never for her. Not love. Not kindness. Her hands shook. "Jack, He held out the ring. "I don't care where you came from. I care who you are now. I want to walk beside you for the rest of my life. Will you marry me?" The whole tavern held its breath. Lissa's eyes welled with tears. Her heart pounded in her chest. For a moment, she forgot how to speak. Then, quietly, she whispered, "Yes." The room exploded with noise-shocked gasps, awkward clapping, and one loud alien voice shouting, "Is this even legal?" Jack stood and slid the ring onto her finger. It was simple, smooth, and beautiful, just like the one she gave him made of cloth. Lissa stared at her hand. She wasn't wearing chains anymore. She was wearing a promise. After the crowd returned to their business, Jack and Lissa sat again, hands still joined. "Why here?" she asked, still stunned. "Why in front of everyone?" "Because you spent your whole life being hidden," Jack said. "I wanted the galaxy to see what I see in you." Lissa wiped a tear from her cheek. "They used to look at me like I was nothing." "They still might," he said. "But I never will." Later that evening, as they walked back to the ship, someone stepped out from the shadows. It was a tall alien with a metal eye and royal markings on his cloak. Jack moved in front of Lissa instantly. The alien raised one hand peacefully. "I am not here to fight." Lissa stared at him. Her hands began to shake again, not from fear, but recognition. "I know you," she whispered. He nodded. "You should. I was once your family's royal advisor." "Before they sold you." Jack's face darkened. "Get to the point." The alien spoke slowly. "You must understand, she was not just any slave. She was born a noble heir to the house of Zelenara. Her blood carries power. And now, you plan to marry her?" Jack said nothing. The alien looked at Lissa. "You were stolen from your throne. Do you wish to take it back?" Silence followed. Lissa looked at Jack, then at her hands. Then at the ring, she whispered, "I don't know what I am anymore." Jack gently touched her shoulder. "You're yours. No one else's." They once dressed her in gold and called her a princess. Then they stripped her, chained her, and sold her like meat. Now they had the nerve to ask if she wanted her throne back. Lissa stood in the quiet of Jack's ship, staring at her. Reflection in the glass, no crown, no silk, no chains. Just herself, and a ring on her finger. After the royal advisor left, silence filled the ship like thick fog. Jack had said nothing, giving her space to think. But his eyes never left her. He stood at the edge of the room, waiting, not pressuring. Just waiting. Lissa finally turned toward him. "They used to bow to me," she said. "Call me highborn. But the moment I was useless, they sold me like garbage." Jack nodded, calm. "And now they want you back." "Because I'm useful again," she whispered. Not because they love me. She looked down at her hands. Part of me wants to scream in their faces, take back everything, make them kneel. Jack stepped closer. You have every right. Toe. But the other part, she said slowly, just wants to live quietly with you. That evening, the same advisor returned with an offer. The house of Zelenara is weak without an heir, he said. You are the last bloodline. If you return, your name will rule planets. You will never want for anything again. Lissa asked one question. Would I be free to live how I want? The advisor's face tightened. You would have responsibilities. Her jaw clenched. So no freedom, just a bigger cage. Later that night, Lissa walked alone through the quiet market outside the station. Her mind raced. A young girl bumped into her, just like that time weeks ago. But this girl was crying, alone. Dirty Dot, without thinking, Lissa knelt beside her. Where's your family? She asked gently. The child shook her head. Gone. Lissa took off her scarf and wrapped it around the girl. There's a safe place at the dock. Ship number 22. Go there. Tell them Lissa sent you. The girl looked up, eyes wide. Are you a queen? Or something? Lissa smiled. Not anymore. When she returned to the ship, Jack was sitting at the window, staring at the stars. She sat beside him. Quiet. Then placed something in his hand. It was the royal seal. The symbol of her house. I'm not going back, she said. I don't need a throne. Jack looked at the seal, then at her. Are you sure? She nodded. I'd rather build something new. Then go back to what broke me. Jack wrapped his arm around her. Then let's build it together. Weeks passed. They left the trade station and settled on a quiet green planet at the edge of a peaceful system. There, they started small, a home, a garden, a shelter. Lissa opened a place for rescued slaves, girls and boys, who were like her once, lost, hurt, forgotten. She gave them names, she gave them safety, and she gave them hope. At the shelter's opening, a young alien girl hugged Lissa and said, You're like a mother to all of us. Lissa's eyes welled with tears. She looked at Jack, who stood nearby smiling, proud. I'm not a slave anymore, she whispered. Jack stepped beside her. No, he said. You're not. You're a wife, a healer, a light. That night, under the stars, Jack and Lissa danced together in the quiet. Just the two of them. No chains, no titles, no more running, just love, just freedom.